Hey everyone, I'm Brad from Calgary.
This is Sean from Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm Terry from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey, this is Larry from Pitt Meadows, British Columbia, and you're listening to the Towing Life podcast.
Welcome to the Towing Life podcast, where the ditches are deep, the trucks are loaded, but the drivers are not. I'm your host, TowManG, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, friend, and former co-worker, the man with very strong opinions, Mr. PlainGuy.
What is going on, G? What is going on?
I think we might need to change up our intro a little bit because I say, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host. Well, as of late, it's either one or the other. It's not normally both.
That is fair. That is fair. I mean, 90% of that is my fault. The other 10%, which accounts for 90% of the problem, is you.
Oh.
But we will get to that.
Okay.
We will. We'll be joined by a special guest today, Dr. Phil, to help sort our differences on this subject. But absolutely, a lot of it has been me. 90% of it is you. I'm willing to shoulder my blame if you are willing to shoulder yours. So, welcome to another week of the Towing Life podcast. We are happy you guys can join us week in, week out. Do not forget, as usual, if you'd like to reach out, you can visit us at www.towinglife.ca. Email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. or visit us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. If you are watching over on the YouTube side, thanks once again for supporting G's numbers, because without your support, YouTube would not exist on our show, and TowManG would have nothing to do with his time. So thank you once again. You can always be sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, hit the notify, leave a comment down below. If there's anything that we say coming across this show where you agree, disagree, or just straight up think we are wrong, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We always love hearing from you. So I'm wearing a great new hat this week, which I don't know how long it's going to last because it's not very comfortable and it doesn't fit me.
Yeah, it looks kind of small.
It's a medium.
Yeah.
So my truck is getting worked on it tonight. And so I hopped in the boss's truck because he's gone. So I grabbed his pickup truck and I came home and I seen this stupid hat. I seen him in a car, in his wife's car the other day, and didn't even recognize it was him because he was wearing this stupid hat. And given the story that I'll get into in a little bit about the week that I've had, it seemed appropriate. And I straight up sent him a picture. I'm like, you left your stupid hat in your truck. By the way, I'm going to wear it on the podcast tonight. So I don't know what this is. Like, what is the purpose of these hats? Like, what?
Well, if it fits better, the brim can actually be down a little bit further, you know?
Okay, fair enough. Like, I mean, it doesn't fit me very well.
Like, you can actually wear it so it fits further back on your head like this, you know? So for you, it's just sitting on top of your head like this, right? So it looks goofy as hell. Right?
It does. It's so for anyone in the audio side listening, it's one of those Tilly hats. I call it a fisherman's hat, I guess is what I would refer to it as. It's something to keep the sun off his bald spot. I don't know why I can't wear a baseball cap like the rest of us, but that's here nor there. So
That's also to keep the sun off your ears too.
Yeah, fair enough. I've never gotten a sunburn on my ears.
Oh, well, good luck. It's not fun.
Yeah, that's a weird spot to get a sunburn.
Yeah, it's pretty tender right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I just figure you have tougher skin than that. So no, going into that, so the whole theme of the fishing hat was an exciting week that we had. We've had a crazy week down here. It's been busy. We've been swamped. We've had a recovery that I'd love to talk about that I won't at this point. Maybe it'll come out in the future, but for the time being, it's still a little fresh. So we're going to make sure to let some time pass before we hurt anybody's feelings, or get into anything on it. But I did have quite the little adventure. Lay it out for you. It's just had a crazy day. It was busy. I'd just gotten home. I was finally starting to get to sleep, and I get an operator who calls me, and he says, "Hey, I'm on my way to a call off this highway. I could use you." And I'm like, "Man, you're fairly experienced. Like, what is it that you need me for?" And he goes, "Well, I got a car And I'm being told it's 30 feet from the shoreline, upside down on its roof in the river. And I'm like,
why didn't you lead with that?
Yeah. Where are you? Like, where are you right now? I'm on my way to the call. Okay, did you bring anything to go swimming? No, of course you didn't. So my wife is sleeping next to me, so she wakes up to the phone call, and she's like, "Be safe." And I'm like, "Yep, I'm just grabbing some things, and I'll be out." So, being smart, I grab my bathing suit, I grab my flip flops, and I grab a towel.
You always seem to be the one to go swimming.
I do kind of like it. So to give you guys an idea, and we'll put the photo up on the screen while we talk about it. It was, I think I can actually do it this way. Hey, there we go. It was I had to look up online what the temperature of the river is. So this photo, again, for the audio listeners, you'll have to go see it. I'll try and put it up on the social media on the Facebook page. Is yours truly, Mr. PlainGuy, in the river in shorts, swimming shorts, topless, with a headlight on, rigging up a Honda Civic that is upside down. So keep in mind that we are in Canada, and it is only like, this was like June 3rd, 4th, whatever it was.
Yeah.
The river is not warm yet, and that river never really gets warm. It's a major river that runs through the area. It never gets warm. I looked up online to see what the water temperatures are, and to my understanding, the high was about 68 degrees. Which is still pretty chilly, and this was at night at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
so it's not like the sun's
not
out,
it's
sweating.
Yeah,
you're not sweating. So we walked out. I'm so cut up from this. I keep saying I gotta go get some like water shoes or something. Which somebody said, why don't you get Crocs? And that's actually a great idea, because flip flops, walking over the rocks, sliding off your feet, everything else. This thing would not cooperate too. This car was a pain. I'd rig it up. You want to bring it to the bank, but you need it to roll over as well. I don't want to, like, it won't come up the bank really well on its roof because we know it's going to dig in. It's a pretty steep embankment. So the theory is I want to try and roll it in that angle to keep it that once it's rolled, it's straight to go up the embankment instead of sideways coming up the embankment. Yeah. I rig it up to roll one way. Start winching. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm just thinking, my boss would say, I don't know why you didn't call rotator. And if anything you know about me, I want to prove that we can do it with a light duty truck. I don't need a rotator. I understand they have a purpose and they have a cause. I didn't feel that this is one of them. So we'd rig it up. We start winching it.
What were you using?
A flatbed. Just a flatbed up on the embankment with a side puller. Yeah. So it was the road was about 20 feet from there was about 20 foot of grass that I didn't feel comfortable putting the truck on. Still kind of iffy. I mean, we've been pretty dry down here, but at the same time, that'd be the night. It's 1 o'clock in the morning with all kinds of cops on scene. Last thing I want to do is bury a tow truck. Yeah. So we leave it up on the road on the shoulder. We put the side puller in. We run a line down. I rig it up to roll over, so that when it winches, you can actually, I think, see the chain maybe even in that photo on the side that my hand is on. And what I want it to do is as we winch it, to turn and roll. Yeah. Well, of course, as soon as I start winching, it says, no, it turns the other way. Which now becomes the low side. It's not going to roll. Yeah. So I said, screw it. Get it to the embankment. I get it up to the embankment, and I go close enough to it. It starts digging into the embankment. I go, all right, let's switch the chain to the other side. It'll roll. Switch the chain to the other side. Start pulling. It twists the other way. Must have been the way there was a rock in front. Twist the other way, so I'm now pulling on the low side. It's not going to roll, but it starts to come up the embankment and starts to do a weird roll. Said, no problem. Keep winching. We're not going to break anything at this point. Just keep winching. If it comes over, it's not exactly where I want it, but we can work with it. Yep. He winches. And I made one mistake that I've definitely made before in the past, and anyone who's done enough rollovers. Okay, so in this situation, the rear the rear suspension is broken on the car. So what I've done is I have gone to a T-slot on the rear, right? And I've gone to a grab hook. I think I went around on the front controller. Good little spot, solid rigging point. The problem is I used a T-hook instead of a mini J on the T-hook slot. Well, when the vehicle decided that it wanted to roll and started to get into its roll, the T-hook spun to the direction you don't want the T-hooks to spin. They are not great. The T-hook slot is a great recovery point, but the T-hook itself is not, because it only goes in one way where it can lock that T-hook in.
Yeah.
And right at that moment, it spun. And the T-hook pops out. The car goes, now is out of control, as I like to call it. Not my finest moment. And I'm nowhere near, and obviously you put yourself in safe places. And the car, who is partially about to roll, now does a 3/4 roll the other way.
Oh, nice.
It goes pretty much side to roof to other side. And I'm sitting there going, you have got to be kidding me. Just cooperate.
You're awake at this point now.
Yeah, well, now the brain's working, right? That's what we love about this stuff, right? A couple episodes we talked about why towing.
Yeah.
Right? And why towing? Well, moments like this, in my opinion, are why towing. Right? These are the fun stories, but again, they're also the ones that make you work. So at this point, I get a smart idea before I forget to do it, because I forgot to do it earlier. Anytime you're doing a recovery, especially like this, once this vehicle lands, what's the plan? Are you going to hook a bridle up to it? Well, do yourself a favor. While it's on its side, hook a bridle up.
Yeah.
So we hook the bridle up. We bungee cord it up to the front. And I decide, screw it. The car's 3/4 lean. It's almost rolled over.
Yeah.
And we do the old school push. I mean, by me, because I'm the only one that's dumb enough to go into the water to do this.
Yeah.
I give it the old school push, and the water resistance would not let this thing rock very well. Finally pushed it. It falls over onto its wheels and then starts to float and move away from me a little bit. I'm like, oh, God damn it. I finally got this car upright, and it's going to float away down the river. So it stops. So we end up hooking it up. We get it out. It wasn't the finest moment. And I think it's important to show that, right? Part of me said, you know what? A rotator would have definitely made that a lot easier, or even a heavy wrecker, because just any wrecker would have made that easier, because when it got to the bank, exactly, when it got to the bank, the way we were originally pulling it, it was digging into the bank. If we would have had the height from a wrecker, whether it be a heavy or even a light duty wrecker, we could have gotten it up the bank onto that 20-foot section of grass. And then it's just like doing any other rollover, right? You've got the room, you're in the dry, at least you're not in the water trying to rig this up and play around with it. So moral of the story was, should have used a wrecker. It was goddamn cold. I cut up the back of my feet, on both feet, and you don't feel it. You get out of the water and the cop looks at me, he goes, back of your foot's bleeding. I'm like, oh, your other foot's bleeding too. Look, I don't feel it. Your feet are frozen.
Yeah.
But it led for a great photo, a great topless shot. So for any of you guys looking for my OnlyFans, here's the preview of it. It's my hairy self out in the river, 68 degrees, freezing my you-know-what's off. And that photo doesn't do it justice, because it looks like the water's high enough that it doesn't change your voice pitch, or the water's low enough. Yeah. When I had to get to the back of the car, I hit that crossover point. Then I noticed we were like, the fellas.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's cold. And they're gone. So if anyone's ever been out in the cold river on a recovery, you understand where I'm coming from. If you would have done things differently, or had input on how I should have done things differently other than what I've already stated, feel free. Let me know. It's not my finest moment, but it definitely was a fun time.
So I wasn't there, and I know you said that you wanted to bring it up facing you and not sideways, which I completely understand, because that's the easiest way. But
of course,
couldn't you have grabbed potentially, I know you said the rear suspension was broken, but if you grab the rear suspension, and if you've already tried to get it to roll towards you and it doesn't, right? Would you have been able to grab the rear tire, spin it sideways, and then run your cable over top of the car and in through that back door that was open, and grab like a seatbelt and make it roll?
But it still would have brought it over sideways. If I was trying to not bring it up to the edge, and the only reason is a normal incline, like a ditch, I'd say no problem. But the problem is with a shoreline, it's big rock.
Yeah.
So you really don't want that thing sideways landing.
And you don't have the height to even, so you'd be
right,
dragging.
because the road is quite a bit above.
Yeah.
So, I had somebody ask me and say, well, what about, I think it was the mechanic saying like, well, what about doing like an end over end roll once it got to that embankment and stuff? I'm like, man, have you ever seen an end over end roll go well?
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be an end over end onto the flatbed like people have tried so many times and failed. It would have been onto the back, but it's like, no, like it's going to go up, it's going to go up, it's going to go up, and then it's going to tip to one side or the other. And then your rigging's going to fall apart. It's going to roll back into the water. It's going to look worse than my T-hook failure.
Yeah.
That got into the wrong direction. So, no, it was one of those. And again, right, it's easy to sit back and even myself, like, look at it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it's like in the moment.
Yeah.
Right? In the moment of whatever recovery got going on, I've got like 6 cops because it must have been a slow night and everyone wanted to show. I've got 6 cops. I've got some bystanders out. I don't know what the hell they're doing at this time of night because we're kind of a little bit out in the country where it was.
Oh, that's the most important thing. If they're out in the country, there's nothing else goes on all month.
That's true.
They'll talk about that for a month, maybe a year, depending on how badly you screwed up.
I had people messaging me saying they'd seen the video, not of the message, because that's the other part. Remember, they don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
They don't know what a failure is. I'm repositioning for the second part of this pull.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know. So yeah, it's, when you're in that moment though, when the pressure is on, I mean, I have no problem with the pressure, but it's easy to miss things. It's easy to say afterwards, I would have done something differently. We're hypocrites for this. Like we're going to criticize somebody later for that.
Mm.
Right? Before we do. So this wasn't my finest recovery by any means, but at the same time, it is a good time to mention if you've got a better recovery or even one of equal caliber, because I mean, going swimming is still a pretty good time.
Yeah.
To be sure to submit it for our recovery of the month. We have had January, February, March, April, May. We're getting to June, July, August, September, October, November, December, the last months of the year. So be sure to get your submission in. It's easy. You can win a $50 Canadian Amazon gift card, courtesy of the Towing Life podcast and our amazing sponsors of the recovery of the month. You will get a spot in our 2024 calendar, which will go into production at the end of 2023 to be available for sale for 2024. Head on over to www.towinglife.ca/recovery to submit your recovery of the month. Get a chance to win. We've got them. They're still rolling in. We're going to be picking June because June is going to be around the corner in no time. Contest does end. I forget what I said last week. I'm going to say it's September 31st. I really got to put that on there so I can remember. Yeah. Contest ends September. I'm announcing this now. If you heard otherwise in the last one, you're wrong. Contest ends September 31st.
For submissions.
Sorry, yeah. So, the submissions close because we have to have the rest of them already picked so that we can get the calendars into production. Yeah. September 31st. I'm putting that in now so I remember for next one. So get them in, towinglife.ca/recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you stole the show there with that one.
That's fair. That was a good recovery. But okay. Why is it that we can't get together for podcasts? I want to hear what your thoughts are on this because you have voiced them personally to me over group chat, over text message. And I want you to voice them for the listeners. We are going to, I was looking for the wording last week, but spill the tea, as they say.
Spill the tea. So a lot of times I have every other Wednesday off, but the Wednesday that I do work, I'm off at 6, which means I normally get home at 7, right? 7 p.m. Yeah. So Wednesdays are normally our go-to recording night because you don't dispatch that night. I'm always going to be home around that 7:30 mark. So that is normally our go-to nights. So once I've said, okay, recording Wednesday, good, in the books. We normally settle that up on the Monday, so good for recording Wednesday. Yep, sounds good. So that means my following night off, the Thursday, if I only have the 2 days off during the week, I normally like to do something with my loving girlfriend. Regardless whether that's go out for dinner, spend the day, whatever we decide to do. So then Wednesday rolls around and a rollover comes in for Mr. PlainGuy over there at 5 o'clock or whatever time it actually is.
Or something.
It's always something.
There's
It comes
always
in
something.
at 5 o'clock and he has to be there. Like, just has to be there for whatever reason.
What? Okay, continue.
He has to be there for whatever reason, whether that be the scene coordinator or he's just the go-to guy, the all-powerful, all-knowing Mr. PlainGuy that can just get whatever recovery done, no matter what, whatever whatever thing he needs to do to inflate his ego to, go to sleep at night. He just has to be there, right? Which then, we can't do Wednesday night. But if we could probably do Wednesday night if it's 11 p.m. and we're both sleeping, and it wouldn't make for a very good show, right?
You go to bed at 11?
Sometimes.
I wish.
Sometimes. A lot of times, if I'm working the next day, it's normally like 10:30.
Okay, continue. I'm going to mute my mic so that you can continue and get your whole full understanding of this out, because if not, I'll keep cutting you off.
So yeah, Wednesday doesn't work. Thursday, I've already made plans to my wonderful girlfriend who puts up with enough as it is.
Is she holding a gun to your head off camera? Sorry,
What?
I'll mute my mic again.
So I make plans with her. If I cancel too many plans, stop unmuting your mic.
I'm not saying anything. I'm sitting back here, away from it.
If I cancel too many plans with her, that gets her upset. And rightfully so. I enjoy spending time with her. She enjoys spending time with me. We make plans to go out and do a date or something, whatever the case may be, to spend that time with each other. Which then leaves us with very little time for recording. Especially if the original time was kiboshed by something PlainGuy had to do. So that's pretty much the moral of the story. That happens more often than I would like to admit. So I propose to you right now that every other week end that we are both off. So this Saturday, we sit down in the morning from like 8 a.m. Saturday, and we record 2 episodes on that Saturday. One for that week and one for the following week, because then I work the next weekend. So every other week, we sit down on the Saturday, record 2 episodes. We schedule 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. a Saturday block of time to sit down and record 2 episodes. It's still not getting ahead, really. But I feel like these nights, especially when you know how the towing industry work, at least if it's your scheduled weekend off, that's time is more respected, I find.
Okay. Can I talk now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start. First of all, take your fucking ideas and shove them up your ass. No, that's really mean. Welcome to the TowManG abuse. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's start at the beginning of this. You're right. We normally plan for Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. I don't dispatch anymore. I didn't know you weren't aware of this.
Okay.
So I have most nights. Well, I mean, most nights. Apparently not Wednesdays every time we try and record. But there's not the set on those that I'm really stuck on those nights. I do have most nights as long as something doesn't happen.
Yeah.
When we get into the, like you said, 5 o'clock and the rollover comes around and I've got to be there for whatever reason. I manage a towing company.
Yeah.
A rollover, and especially when we're talking tractor trailers and we're talking, a newer stuff. There's no, why do you have to be there? Because that's part of the job, right? You said specifically to me that it feels like the podcast is not your priority. I will bring my wife in here and she will gladly tell you otherwise. Right? You and I have two different positions within the towing industry.
Yeah.
Right? Which gives us different perspectives, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But it also gives us different responsibilities. Right? Like if, like my wife, we've had her on the show before. We'll tell you that it comes towing the dog, her.
Yeah.
Right? If you ask her where the podcast lines up in that, it's the job. and then it's me and the podcast. I mean, it's a 50-50 split.
Hmm.
I have gladly missed dates and times with her because I had a wreck and I was supposed to have dinner with her. And then we've pushed it off because I'm trying to get another night in. Meanwhile, I've got a million things going on at the shop. Meanwhile, right, the exact reasons that your girlfriend, your loving girlfriend, because she's behind the screen with a gun to your head, you know, says that she doesn't want you to be like me, which I don't, you know, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
But to actually take the time to say that it doesn't feel like I can see you from your standpoint where that's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I can get that. But I think it's because you don't see the full scope of what I actually have going on. And not that it's your problem. The podcast is a side gig that we do.
Yeah.
But I could say the same thing to you. I understand. We talked about this. Family is very important to you. Right? Family is very important to you. But at the same time, if we're going to make an honest go of this, and the way we have been for the last year, nothing's changed with it. But this has been going on for a year that we've been doing this. But suddenly we have a problem with it.
Well, it's just getting tiring now.
I get it. And with producer Sarah not being around, it's not like we can sneak off and get something done with that and make things work too, right? Obviously, she's still a new mother. She's still adapting to everything. We're hoping to have her back at one point. Yeah. So it is just you and I that have got to schedule time. And if people wonder why we don't schedule guests, or rarely schedule guests, TowManG hit a nail on the head. Yeah. We have a hard time scheduling the two of us.
Yeah. Especially if, like, let's say we line up a guest and
the rollover happens.
Now it's okay. Well, all the questions you wanted to ask, which was going to be 50% of our show, is now gone.
75 normally.
75. Whatever the case may be.
I tend to take over. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You always seem to take over the guests, which is perfectly fine because I don't want to, if you and I both talked as much as we normally do, the guest would never speak, which what's the point of having a guest at that point?
That's fair. So, that being said, I'd like you to apologize for questioning my commitment to this goddamn show. I love this goddamn show. We created this together. Yeah. We are on episode 96. Gee, we never thought we would be here.
No.
At this point. No. Right? We never, you especially. When we first started this, I don't know if you thought this was like a 10-episode miniseries for YouTube.
Like if you've ever known PlainGuy outside of the towing industry or outside of the show, he would always, especially like with video games, things that he would oversell to you. Like, this game is phenomenal. It's great.
Yeah. 100%.
Go out and buy it. We'll play all the time, right? Yeah. You buy the game. You play with him for like a week, and then he never plays that game again.
It's 100% happened over my life.
So, and I'm not sure if that's the same aspect of like different hobbies that you pick up from time to time.
I've been pretty big on the golf lately, so yeah.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how long that lasts and see if it's a track record.
Last couple of years have been decent.
Oh, okay.
But yes, so you kind of went in with listen to this crazy guy with his crazy ideas, and how long until we get tired of this?
Yeah, it's like you bought a computer and you're like, oh, I'm going to start streaming. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll start making some YouTube videos or whatever. I bought a computer too, just after you, and then you stopped doing that
content creation. Yeah, but again, because life gets in the way, and if video games, man, I don't know. Honestly, I play golf every once in a while, PGA 2K23, because it's nice and chill and I can, decompress sometimes. I really have time to do the show. I really have time to see my wife. I really have time for many other things. So the fact that it is still a show that is going on shows you that it's a passion of mine.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not a passion.
You're pretty much saying that this exact statement on knowing me outside of this show says that you can't say this isn't a priority, or I would have kick the can 10 episodes in, not 96 episodes later. And I mean, I think life has changed for you. I think, and I'm not insulting you by saying this, but I feel like your priorities have changed in life. Yeah. You're getting a little older. The industry's wearing on you a little bit. You are looking for a way to rekindle some sort of passion in something, right? Like you're looking for that thing that you're missing.
Yeah.
And this show isn't it. I'm not saying that you're not happy with the show. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? So it's easy to shit on the thing that isn't giving you the satisfaction that it used to give when you're searching for something. Is that pretty fair?
Yes and no. I think it's more so it's becoming a chore. Like it used to be easy where the scheduling wasn't so tight when we had like we used to be in a rhythm where when we finished recording one episode, we would schedule the next episode, right?
Yeah,
We tried to
we
get
tried
in that
that for a little bit. Yep.
routine. If
Yep.
it wasn't as soon as we finished, it was a day or two after. So we pretty much had the date set a week prior. And that was good. You could plan around that, you could schedule around that. And then it gets to the point where almost every week
I have
that
something.
scheduled time is no longer you took time out of your schedule and you made time for that. For myself, I scheduled my life around, okay, not my whole life, but I said, okay, this night is podcast night. This is the night we sit down, we record. And then I try to plan accordingly for the rest of the week because I know
But
the
you can
podcast
do
is going to
that
be done.
easier in your position in the towing industry.
Oh yeah,
You can.
100%. It's easier for me because when I started doing content creation, I said, okay, I want to make a good go of this. So I started taking more time away from work. Right? I became that tow truck driver in captivity, right? Because I knew working the amount that I wasn't happy, right? Because I was working too much, I was getting burnt out. I didn't see the compensation for it. So let me work, let me still be able to provide for myself and my family, and let me take a little bit of time trying to find that perfect balance. I'm not saying I found that perfect balance by any means, but it was better than what it was. So I had that more time off. And as I drifted away from so much content creation, I started wanting to get into this farm idea, right? So that's where all that extra free time went. It was family, farm, and this podcast. Those were my priorities, and work falls somewhere in there too during my scheduled working hours.
Which were like 12 a week.
It's actually 90 hours every 2 weeks is
Okay.
what my schedule is. So it's still a full work week technically for most people. I'm not saying tow truck operators. 90 hours, you can do that in 5 days normally, depending on what company you work for. But it for me, it's just the uncertainty because, okay, if you say Wednesday night, okay, what if something comes up Wednesday night? Does that mean I can't plan anything for Thursday or Friday night? Okay, well, what if okay, Wednesday night didn't work. We say Thursday. Okay, Thursday night doesn't work. Okay, I say Friday. Well, now I've wasted 3 nights or 3 days trying to sit down and record with you, and
Now,
your schedule just keeps getting pushed.
but I'm pretty decent at trying to give you a heads up as early as I can. Towing is a career full of different situations, from vehicles missing a wheel to having none at all. A great operator learns to use all the tools in both his physical and mental toolbox. I'm here today to tell you about a new, exciting tool to add to your physical toolbox, the BakPul hitch. Like many people on the internet, I had my doubts about this product. Doubts I personally aired on this podcast. But the fine folks over at BakPul Hitch sent me one of their products to try, and boy, was I surprised. Its quality of build and ease of use made me eat my words real quick. So if you're a doubter like I was, head over to bakpulhitches.com for more information and to find out how to add another tool to your toolbox. That's BakPul hitches.com.
Yeah, but you
You're
can't
the one
really make big plans 2
Well,
hours,
no, but
3 hours
on
in
Wednesday
advance.
night, whenever I said, like, look at last night, right?
Yeah.
Last night I said that there was, like, good chance. I told you early in the day, there's a good chance. You could have went and made plans at that point because I can't give you shit for that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but I don't plan 3 weeks ahead of time. It's the towing industry. You can't. But again, no offense, you can just because of your position, the fact that you work like you have a set schedule. Look at last night, and I am by no means trying to. I'm not complaining. I'm explaining. There's a difference, right? Last night, after doing the wreck that we were on all day, I had the biggest headache. And Robin's like, "Did you eat today?" I'm like, "No." Right, and so I sat down. We ate. a wicked headache. My headache just started to, so I told you, like, I'm probably not going to make it. It's, can we reschedule for tomorrow night? Like, I'm bagged in the first place. I got this wicked headache. It's not going to be great content. At that point there, you're like, even well earlier in the day, if you would have made plans, I wouldn't have cared. I get it. I said I probably won't make it. You're like, okay, I'm going to make plans that way. I have free time Thursday or Friday, whatever. I'll move some stuff around.
Yeah.
I'm eating dinner. I just finished eating dinner. Slowly starting to feel better. I get a call from one of my guys. Mechanics out on a test drive broke down partially in a live lane on an overpass. You go out and do traffic control. Well, of course, I can't leave a guy there.
Yeah.
So I'm back out and running off onto the highway, and I'm home. Like, the deal I said is I'm not getting out of my truck because I'm in shorts at this point. I just got home. I'm wearing running shoes. Like, so what? There's no world that situation where one of my guys is stuck, broken down on the side of a highway with a heavy to hook up that needs traffic control that I can say, even never mind the show, but just personally myself, no, sorry, I can't go, you know what I mean, give you traffic control because I'm recording a podcast. That can't happen.
No, I get that.
There's no, and same thing, a tractor trailer rolls over. That is our time to shine. That is the time that we do what we do best. And where we need hands on deck and we need coordination, we need all that. It can never, like, there is stuff that I can. Hey, a guy calls me up. Hey, call one of the other drivers to give you advice on how to do this. I got to get this done. There is certain things that I can absolutely delegate during the time that we record this podcast, but there's other things that I can't. And that is the hard part. And the more responsibility that I've taken on where I am has added to that. Right, I've gotten away from having to do some things like the dispatching side. Like we've solved some of these problems, which has opened up more time with us for you and I to sit down and do these recordings. But at the same time, we've closed one door or solved, one leak in the hose, and 10 more popped up down the line.
Yeah,
and I'm running out of fingers to plug the holes. So I don't want the listener to be listening to this and say, "Oh, are you guys canceling the show?" That is not the plan. That is not the intention. I will fire him and get a new co-host who understands. Or I will get him a co-host that can have more availability than myself. And we'll join in. These are all things we just, I think it's important for you guys to see when we talk about the hard times that we have, and even to get a true understanding of us and to know the things that we deal with. Again, we're not complaining. Everyone's got shit in their life. Everybody has stuff going on. Right? And I'm a big believer. Hard times make strong men. Strong men make easy times. Easy times make weak men.
Yep.
Weak men make hard times. Hard times make strong men. Right? And sometimes we go through that cycle. And that's kind of what we're going in. These are the hard times. These are the hard times. With the fact that we are on episode 96 and we are going to push through and we are going to continue to keep bringing content and continue to bring new ideas. The problem is I thought summertime, wintertime for us when we're doing this show is survival. I have said that from the beginning. In the wintertime, when we are putting out these episodes week after week, it's literally about getting content for you guys out. Yeah. There's no bells and whistles. There is no extra things. This summer, I mean, we're only into summer. I'm hoping as we hit June now, maybe we're into summer now, we can have a little bit more downtime. We can have some fun. We can do some different things. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is TowManG is the problem because he doesn't understand what it's like to be a tow operator. One more jab. Just one more. Just a little jab. But no, I think it's good to get out. I'm a big believer that when we have a problem with each other or with anybody, whether that be, it's, better to just get it out. What's the problem? How do we fix it? Let's move forward. Yeah. So how do we fix it? I like your idea about the Saturdays. Huh. The problem is that's one of my few times that I have with my wife. Yeah. But we've been saying it forever. I want to stay relevant with the listeners. I want to stay relevant with what is happening. And I the only hard part of the 2 weeks is you're 2 weeks behind on everything. But again, we're not a news podcast. No. We're not the paper. I don't think you, the listener, and you can comment on YouTube down below or send us an email at thetowinglife@gmail.com or find us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. I don't think you guys look for us to breaking news. Oh my God, did you hear what the Towing Life Podcast said? It's not about that. No. It is about the industry. So I don't think we need to be right up on top, but it's so easy to be passionate about something once a week when you've had a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It keeps it fresh. It keeps us with these ideas. It keeps us with stupid hats on our heads. Because it's what happened in the moment. How many times have we sat down and what do you want to talk about? I don't know. We're going to I had this happen. I had this happen. I had this happen. And people relate to that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what makes it real, right? The more real the content is to the industry, I think the more favorable it is for our listeners, right? The Tow Business podcast, right? Jeff and Brad. I still listen to them every once in a while. I don't listen to them as much as I have. I finally had a couple road trips. As you've seen, I was up your way actually last weekend,
Mm-hmm.
The middle of the night run. And I was listening. I got caught up on the Tow Business podcast. If you haven't checked them out, I strongly recommend you do. These guys have some great topics. And one of them was talking about a death within his company. And it was a 25-year employee. Like somebody that it was an integral part of the company. And you hear them talk about it, and it's a reality I haven't faced as a manager, but it's a reality that definitely people have. And one of the biggest flacks that he got is he had talked about at one point how they had to look at replacing him. Not that you can replace that personality within a company on someone's been along, but you have, like, as an employer, you have to. And he goes, I feel bad because people gave me shit about that. And I messaged him directly, and I said, don't ever, like, it's the sad part nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Right? But the reality is, if something were to happen, you have to fill a gap. That's part of a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing no one wants to talk about, but it's a reality of it. And you can't feel bad about it. And I think that's what makes conversations like that one and some of the conversations we have on the show so real. Because it's not this bullshit of I'm going to wait 3 months of a mourning period. I can still mourn and I can still grieve the loss of, a friend and a good employee.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a business can't die because somebody does, right? Really sad way to say it, but it's the reality of the business, right? Like so I love that raw talk. That's what I like about having this conversation like we had. This is the raw talk. This is the realities of the towing industry, right? You're like my second wife that complains more than my first one. About
because your second wife has a damn near wife of his own,
You don't make enough time for me. I'm feeling neglected.
Yeah.
Can you please sit down and talk to me tonight?
Yeah. I want to have a conversation with you, and I want to show a couple hundreds of people our conversations on a weekly basis.
Yeah. We need to talk. Oh, God. No, we don't. Suck your feelings up and let's go. We got shit to do. So, anyways, that's enough of this. Let's have some fun. We have 2 for the listeners because I know we're starting to crack in, getting closer and closer on time. We'll pay for the overages like we do every month. For those of you that don't know, we have a set time limit that we're allowed to upload where the content, we go over it every month and just end up paying for because it's all for the content and it's all for the listener. You want to do the video or the pictures first?
Well, most of these people are audio listeners anyway, so we might as well do the pictures first.
Why does that matter? They can't see the pictures either.
I know.
But okay.
I think it's easier to describe the pictures.
So we will put up the pictures. We started playing a game a little while ago, and we would like to go hourly or commission. Yeah. Is this driver hourly? Is this driver commission? Whatever this driver is, he's having a hell of a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah, you rear-picked a box truck full of shredded paper by what looked to be the DOT bumper, towing it down the road backwards. And the bumper just said, "Toodaloo, motherfucker."
By the DOT bumper, we're talking step bumper.
Yeah.
Right? Which it looks like it folded down. I'm guessing that's how. I can't tell. No, it wouldn't have, though. He would have had it. I don't know what he picked that by. I'm not saying that. I'm not fully sold that that's the step bumper. I'm not. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, that definitely is.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been able to twist in the
it wouldn't have been able to twist in the forks?
No, it wouldn't have been able to twist in the forks.
Yes, it would have. Look how wide those forks are. You can see the fork way at the bottom. It did. It 100% did. So, yeah, he picked it up by the step bumper. And it went terribly, terribly wrong. And this single axle, it looks like. I don't see a tandem on that. Truck, which looks like it already, I'm guessing, had a rear messed up tire. But the drive shaft's off. Well, now I'm really confused.
Yeah.
The drive shaft's off that truck. Maybe they did that when they were going to recover it. I don't know, but
maybe.
Anyways, this thing fell off his truck and rolled over onto a Jersey barrier. But yeah, like you see the drive shaft. I can't tell if it's tied up or if it was because of the failure. Maybe there's already missing a tire on the drive
But
axle.
that could have been damages from it rolling over.
That could have been, but that would also make sense to why he was rear towing. Well, if he was front towing it, where the fuck was he hooked up onto?
Well, he wasn't front towing it because look at the tow light. It's on the bumper.
Oh yeah, there's a light bar on it.
Yeah.
Good call. Good call. So why did he have the drive shaft removed?
Maybe, well, it would be a Z-boom style truck, so he'd be able to have as much height as he wanted to on it. So, yeah, I don't know.
You don't know anything about heavy wrecker trucks. That doesn't have anything to do on why you'd leave a drive shaft on.
No, I'm saying like you could take drive shaft out, so in case the rear tires touch the ground, you didn't have to worry about it being in neutral or park or anything.
Well, okay.
Neutral, anyways. Yeah, I know.
Anyways, hourly or commission? Do you figure the driver? And I love the denim. It's got to be in the States somewhere. I can't see a plate on that truck to see where.
But who's to know that's the actual driver?
I'm guessing that's the driver on the bottom picture.
It could be the driver who's showed up to recover it.
Maybe. Good time doing an oil change on it while you're there.
Yeah.
The good news is it doesn't look like it's leaking any fluids or anything. It's the only good that came of that. And I'm not sure I fully like the strapping system. I mean, clearly it kept the bumper on. Didn't keep the rest of the truck. I am going to go because it looks like a bigger city interstate and it's a heavy tow. I'm going to say this driver is hourly.
Yeah.
And fired. I'd like to add.
Yeah. Like, obviously, safety chains would have definitely helped this operator. Just putting that out there.
Shit, there's no safety chains. I mean, they could have broken.
But you would think, because that wheel lift looks to be fully retracted.
Yeah.
Well. You would think you would see them on the ground.
You'd think. That's fair. I didn't take that into account. Okay, so continue. Sorry, you're saying lack of safety chains.
Lack of safety chains. Probably a commission-based driver. Just wanted to pick it up and get it out of there. Oh, it's not going far, But realistically, it's more so just a lazy operator. It doesn't matter if it's hourly.
He didn't pick it up on the highway, we can assume, because it's backwards.
Yeah.
So, like, how are you hooking it backwards? So we're going to say he didn't hook it up on the highway. So he hooked it up somewhere and then got on. This looks, again, I'm assuming this is a highway just by the looks of it, or a freeway of some sort.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's pretty fair. No safety chains. Either way, like I said, I agree with you there. It's a lazy operator. Hourly or commission, it doesn't matter. Hired or fired, I'm going with fired.
Fired, big time. The next gentleman that we're going to be looking at could be a lady, who knows? I'm going to definitely say is a commission-based driver.
So, we're halfway through the video. All right, let's restart from the beginning here. Oh, man, it's choppy on my end. We'll restart one more time. So we have a tow truck with a Prius on it, right? That's an old school Prius, it looks like.
No, I think that's the Honda weird Insight. I think it's a Honda Insight or something.
Oh, maybe. Okay, so on the bed, and we're going to get to the wheel lift. Okay, so we've got a
F650 or 750.
Yeah, which looks like it's forked or chain slung. Okay. Fair, reasonable. Okay, wait a second.
It's got a Chevy Illumina on the bed, or Malibu.
What's an Impala? It's like an 03 Impala. So we've got flatbed tow truck carrying a car on the bed.
Yeah.
Wheel lifting a Ford tow truck, it looks like at this point, with a car on the bed. Okay, so we're already towing in combination. Pretty decent. All right, like decent setup. But then the tow truck that he's towing, has a Buick Rendezvous on the wheel lift. Now, I'd like to point out, on this monstrosity of a combination tow, we have safety straps.
Yep.
We have safety chains. We have
that looks to be dragging on the road, but at least it's there.
Maybe. And tow lights.
Yeah.
Which don't do shit unless that tow light is running to the first truck.
Well, the first truck did have his beacon lights on.
Okay. I mean, this could be a breakdown that the tow truck picked up.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm gonna say you need a permit for this
Yeah, he's probably
because you're
pretty long,
probably a little over length. Does he go all the way back to the front and show it again?
pretty much.
I mean, it actually looks to all be handling pretty well. Like, I'm not.
That is like a 10 series Jordan bed, though.
Yeah, that's only like a 650, which all the weight would be on the back. Actually, all the weight would be very far back because he's got one on the wheel lift too. So it's tipping, right? Like it's tipping the weight off the front of that second tow truck,
Yeah.
right? Because of the. I mean,
I
don't
would
know
like
if
to see the
it might be
casualty
legal.
on the tow truck that's doing all the towing up a little bit further to get a little bit more front axle weight. Because there's still like.
That's only an Impala though.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, sorry, that's the second tow truck.
Yeah, that's the second one.
Let me go back to the first tow truck. No, he's
He's pretty far up.
forward.
Yeah, it is pretty
He's
far
thought
forward.
about this. The rear axle is just behind the drive axle of the tow truck.
If you're gonna do it, he's doing it correctly.
Right. I see safety chains here too.
Yep.
I see tow chains and safety chains.
Yep.
I mean, this guy's less lazy than the shredded guy.
Oh, 100%.
He just didn't want to do 2 trips.
Yeah.
To go get the disabled tow truck and then the casualty that was on the tow truck.
Yeah.
I'm saying because he's towing another broken down tow truck, hourly. And hired or fired, you're hired for the simple fact that I like your creativity and I like that you didn't just fuck it, I'm going to wing it. You actually did things other than the tow light issue, and there might be some overloading axles.
Maybe there's someone sitting in the Ford doing the turn signals.
We can check. I mean, that's illegal, but hard to say, but I'm going to say no. Hard to really tell by that photo, but I'm going to say no. So, hired, hourly driver, and I think you're worth a decent wage.
Hired commission driver, probably, I think. Just for, I don't know, I do dumb shit like this from time to time, and I'm commissioned, so.
Maybe. Have your say. Email us at thetowinglife@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook at the Towing Life Podcast. Comment down below over on the YouTube side. We want to thank you guys for coming in week in, week out. No matter the differences that TowManG and I have, we are going to continue this show. It is here to stay. We might have to take breaks. We might have to have other co-hosts come in and help out and do guest hosts and all those kind of different things. But that doesn't matter. We will continue doing this show because it is our baby. It is our passion. And we enjoy putting content together week in, week out for you. So on behalf of myself and my wonderful co-host, Mr. TowManG, who takes way more abuse than he ever should have to, thank you for coming out. We can't wait to see you guys again next week. Take care.
Toodles.
I had to make sure that we voiced that point. They're like, we're not going anywhere. Like, this sounds really bad right now.
As long as they're okay with the occasional throw together video of clips, like last week.